Greetings everybody, my name is KG Prestige. Welcome back once again to another video here on this channel. And folks, I wanted to go and talk a little bit about physical media and more so the end of physical media, at least from Sony's side in 2028. Now, a lot of my other friends have had either streams or videos dedicated to the matter not too long after this official announcement by Sony was made. However, since then and now, we've gotten a little bit more information about things that are happening when it comes to the future of gaming and even outside of gaming, whether you are a fan of owning, say, Blu-rays or DVDs, CDs, you name it. This kind of announcement, bleeds out from what was supposed to be for just gaming into now a whole new range of other content as well, that it's really becoming the end of an era, but more importantly, a very scary thing, because now everything that you want to own by 2028, at least when it comes to any form of media, specifically with PlayStation in this moment, and potentially will be probably for Xbox as well, given that they need to produce discs for their systems. This is a very scary thing, because now every single device that you want to own, you can't buy a physical product no more to attach it to with a CD or whatnot. Everything is digital. You have to go to the store, online store specifically, to get your hands on it. And if you go to like a video game store, you're probably, the best you're gonna get is probably a code in a box, like how some games have been recently. It's kind of crazy to me personally that this is what's happening. So I want to go ahead and read a little bit of what was said not too fairly long ago by the folks over at the PlayStation blog. It says here, in response to shifting trends in consumer preference, new games will be released on PlayStation Store and at retailers in digital formats only. As consumer preferences and the broader entertainment industry continues to shift away from physical discs to digital, physical game disc production for all new games releasing on PlayStation consoles will be discontinued starting January 2028. Following this date, new games will be available on PlayStation Store and at retailers in digital formats only. This transition has no impact on games that have already released or will be releasing prior to January 2028 in disc format. So this announcement wasn't the only thing that they announced at that moment as well, because alongside this, they also made an announcement in regards to the PS3 and Vita store closing that was always online, which is another very scary thing, because it's like, okay, if we're going to be entering into a world of digital media, that means we got to at least maintain or do our best to hold on to these other console eras of gaming and have them still be able to purchase in some capacity. Yeah, we're at this point, if you want to get a PS3 or a PS Vita game, digital would be the best way to go, because that's just how things are. We are years since those consoles released at this point, so it makes sense. Unfortunately, those are going to be closing relatively soon as well. And what made it even more scarier is that not too long since this announcement was made, that PlayStation also made an announcement, if I recall correctly, in regards to movies bought on the PlayStation Store, the digital formats, that those titles are just going to be erased from your console. You're not in any possession with them whatsoever. You thought you spent them in terms of having them in your system at any time whatsoever, even later 10 years in the future. Nope, that's not a thing. Once that license ends, or whatever it was that they said that they're struggling with, those movies and everything that you had purchased at that time on the PlayStation console is all being erased. Which begs the question, if this is the mindset that they're going to be rocking with for digital media moving forward in 2028, really, like, what exactly is our, things? What do we own in all of this? I thought the whole point about going digital was about being given the opportunity to have an easier time accessing these products without needing a disc or a cartridge or a SD card or whatever it is that you would need to, get your hands on these devices. The whole point about digital format was always the accessibility behind it, that you're able to get this thing at ease without needing to require something on top of it, and that's what made digital media so special. In fact, as a fan of the Nintendo Switch 2, I own a majority of those games digitally because it's just much easier for me to get the next game opened up without having to go into my cabin to go and look for the game that I want to look for. It makes things a lot more of an easier time for me and just go straight from hopping into one game to the next game, etc. Digital media, I think, is something that should be appreciated, but it shouldn't be the only choice you have. You should be given the choice to either go digital or physical. That's what makes things great. People who like to preserve their games or have games on hand, that's something that fans obviously deserve to be given the choice to get, And sadly, once 2028 hits, this is going to change everything in regards to that, because if physical disc production really is coming to an end in 2028, this doesn't just only land on gaming as a whole. This is also something that is going to bleed into DVDs, Blu-rays, even CDs as well, for albums or covers, singles, whatever it is. This is also going to hit those areas too. And if the mindset when it comes to owning digital media is going to be treated similarly to how they handle movies right now that you bought on the digital online store in PlayStation, they're going to run that back to you as well later down the road if you buy them on the PlayStation store. And if they could do that for let's say, for these medias of movies and music and whatnot, who's to say they can't do that for gaming? And they did this once before, if I remember correctly. Didn't they do that with like that one horror game? Was it called PT or something like that? Where it was originally a digital demo that you could download and play the game, but because of certain situations, they had to take it out. And those who owned the console with the game inside would be fine, unless you logged in online, and then the game would be immediately erased from your library, regardless of your choice of wanting to keep it. It was just completely removed. And the fact that they had the ability to do that, I don't know, I felt like this should have been a good indicator of what was to come, and we really never took a chance to defend against this, because digital media just sadly became a part of everyday life. This is just how things are now. We just naturally live with digital media now. We watch our shows through streaming. We listen through our music through streaming a majority of the time. Some of the songs that you want to hear from other countries, you really can't get them physically. I mean, you could, but it'll be a pretty costly fortune out there. But if you want to get easy access to it, digital format is the way to go. And it does suck that this is something that honestly, this is something that should not have happened. This shouldn't have existed. I'm pissed off I even have to make a video about this. That's what's so aggravating about this. Why are we doing this? And honestly, we all know why. I mean, it's to save money. And digital is much more easier to save more money on, at least from, the business perspective. You can't exactly trade digital media. You can't resell your digital media like how you can with physical media, If you, let's say, own a PS5 game and you want to sell it to GameStop, you could give it to them, and somebody else could buy that game used. That's not going to Sony, that's going to GameStop, those used titles. With digital media, you really can't do that. If you own the game, that's it. There's no way for you to trade it with somebody else, share it with somebody else, lend it to someone else, That's just on your system. That's just it. It reminds me of, what was it? When Sony made that attack ad on Microsoft about hey, here's your way of, being able to borrow or share your games with other consoles. And then it turned out they just gave them the disc. And now we're just no longer going to have that option in 2028. And that's sad. The PlayStation 6 is going to come out, and there's no like physical way of owning games at that console era, bro. And the worst part is Microsoft is probably going to join that bandwagon because they require discs to play their games. And if Sony stops production for discs, they're gonna stop it for Microsoft too. Like, why is Microsoft gonna get? No, they're not. They're gonna lose access to it. So when the next Xbox console comes out, it's gonna be purely digital too, just like the PS6. Maybe Nintendo Switch might be a different story because of the fact that they're using cartridges, which is still something, you know, people use in everyday life. And I don't know if they are going to maintain doing physical alongside with their digital. They have been putting an effort with it, with the whole $10 discount between digital and physical, but like, how far can they sustain that if so much of what's happening right now with discs, you know, being halted in production? Like, how long will Nintendo have until they eventually have to start moving into the digital scene too? Or are they going to try to do their best to maintain a physical thing that they're doing right now with the Nintendo Switch 2? But it's also difficult as well with that, because guess what? In Nintendo Switch 2, they're also suffering with, the game key cards, where it's just a key card and it doesn't have the game whatsoever. You have to download it from online. Eventually, when the servers go down, that card that you had right there is going to serve zero purpose. No value whatsoever. And that's heartbreaking. And that's what's so scary about this. It's like, digital media is a blessing, but it also has its curses depending on the person who owns whatever it is that we're discussing at this moment, whether it's digital media through movies or music or, you know, even gaming. At any point, just like what we saw fairly recently with, you know, PlayStation removing all of the films out of the account, even though you spent your money on it, they're gonna just remove it just like that, because that's how it works. And you can't say anything against it because everything is digital. And that's what I think is what they're trying to do. They have more control of digital media than they would in physical. I can have a physical thing on hand, and if they discontinue it, they can't really get rid of it if I own the game physically. You know, I'm gonna have it. Hell, you know, so like with digital, once all these things become just a format on your console, if they're able to do what they're doing right now with movies and what they did with PT back then, yeah, they're just gonna do that all over again. And that's heartbreaking, man. And it pisses me off too, because this isn't only gonna be something that will affect, like I said, just this era of entertainment for niche audiences. And it might sound weird saying niche, but anime is a core aspect of it, because a lot of shows or films or even singles, they're gonna be axed out from going through physical media. In Japan, like when a new album single comes out, like it'll be like an album with like 2-3 songs from an artist or whatnot, right? Those are probably never gonna see physical media after 2028 because they need to be produced with discs. So movies, shows, entertainment stuff from Japan with like anime and whatnot, those are going to be entering a new era as well. And that's, yeah, all of this is scary. It really is. Like, I jumped into this video trying to find some way to understand what this could mean for us and try to see if there was some light in all of this, you know, because digital media should not be something that should be a scary thing. It should be something that should be seen as an option to go alongside the physical media. Like, if I want to see digital media be in my Switch 2, I have the choice to do it. I don't want to be forced to do it. Being given the opportunity to choose my games on how I want to see physical or digital is a valuable thing that we're going to lose in just under 2 years. And that sucks, man. Normally, I always would have something to say at the end of these things, but in this instance, there's really not much to see right now. And it sucks because reality, all of this is on kind of Sony. Sony owns so much. They own access to these productions for the discs. They own access to some of your favorite streaming content, maybe specifically for the anime side. Crunchyroll, they also finding themselves under fire as well, fairly recent, because of the whole Crunchyroll subscription tier list now kind of getting a revamp, where the OG subscription will gain you access to none of the goods, but now you need to be either a mega tier or a premium or whatever it was to gain access to like their Crunchyroll store, where you can buy some physical related products. And now, from what I'm reading here in GameSpot, they're saying that in later down the road, things that are going to be affecting, gaming is also going to be affecting anime too. So from what I'm reading here, it says here, unfortunately, it seems that the time of the Crunchyroll store being a massive anime retail store with a broad selection open to all is coming to a close. According to a recent statement and FAQ posted online, the store will be dropping much of its current stock and transitioning to a brand new shopping experience that will be available exclusively for Mega and Ultimate fans. Instead of physical discs, the Crunchyroll store will focus on collectibles, curated drops, and limited release products inspired by the anime series you love, instead of physical discs. So now, the only form of content that we will probably be getting for anime physically is either going to be the manga, the light novels, and figurines and other merch that will relate to those franchises. But if you want to own the latest song for an opening or an ending from a show that you liked, or hell, you want to buy a Blu-ray that contains episodes from the ongoing series, by 2028, that's it. You're no longer going to be given the choice. And if this is the case, the only way you'll be able to see these shows in any capacity will be through streaming. And from what I'm seeing right now, the only one that really is doing a lot in that aspect when it comes to streaming anime shows is Crunchyroll. Now, I know there's some other ones out there, but they're all kind of diminishing at this point, and eventually Crunchyroll is going to really be the only one that will offer these shows to you in a legal capacity, But to see that your favorite show that could be coming out in 2027 or 2028 will never get to see a full Blu-ray release, because Blu-rays tend to take a while to produce and they spread them out throughout the years. Maybe you'll get half of it. I don't really know how it's treated, and I don't know how it's going to be treated, and that's something we're going to just have to wait and see. But at least in this moment, in this time, this is what we're going to have to prepare ourselves for. The crazy thing about all of this, like I said at the start or halfway in the video, I thought that there might have been like a bright light in all of this. Like we could find a way to say, what can we do now? What can we do to help mitigate the situation and really prove to PlayStation, or specifically to Sony, that the choice that they're making is a bad thing. But I realize, especially if you take a look at all the data that had came out regarding one specific game, Grand Theft Auto 6 is a pure digital game only, and that exploded in sales, in pre-orders. And not only that, but the latest Call of Duty re-releases on the PlayStation Store, which are only offered as digital only titles, that exploded, and it broke the PS Store when those games became available in the online store. So as much as people really want to fight back against this sort of thing, we probably aren't going to win this, because let's be real with ourselves. We want to play the next GTA 6. We want to relive certain titles that will become digital only, like the Call of Duty games that just came out now. That's just how the world is working right now. And Sony sees this and knows that people will go in that direction. And it did. It went in that direction, and now here we are. Um, it's gonna be hard to kind of adapt to this change moving forward. Obviously, like I said, we won't be able to own these things anymore. Like, I'm curious. I'm curious to see how it's gonna be like, and we don't have to wait too long. It's gonna be in 2 years, but I'm curious to see what kind of impact this will leave for entertainment as a whole, because this is going to be a very shady change, in my opinion. They'll just have more possession of what you own. Like, none of the stuff that you buy moving at that point onward is really going to be your own possession, unless it happens to be physical, unless it happens to be something you can hold in your hand. Everything that's in digital is going to be in their hands too, and they have the power to remove any content, whatever it may be, movies, music, gaming, at any moment in their time. And you can't do anything about it, because that's the only thing you can accept it by 2028. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I was just rambling all over the place with this one. Normally I'd be a little bit more polished when it comes to this, but I had a lot to say in my head, and it really sucks. It genuinely sucks, and it's heartbreaking to see that physical media is really coming to an end, and it's not that far off in the distant future. It's just under 2 years. By January 2028, all of this is going to come through. I'm concerned what'll come from it, but this is a situation where I only can say only time will tell when that happens. So, with that said, I'm curious to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. What do you guys think about this? Are you genuinely concerned? I'm confident everybody is concerned to some degree, but I'm curious to see what you guys have to say about it. Like I said at the start of the video, I appreciate and adore digital media. I really do, because it is something that makes life just so much more easier. But the reason I also appreciated it quite a lot is because it was a choice that I made. I was given the opportunity to go either physical or digital. In this instant, I only have one choice from this point onward. And that, to me, is what sucks the most. So, I'll leave it at that. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, my name is KG Prestige. Thank you all so very much for joining me here today, and I'll talk with all of you lovelies later in whatever video I make. Take care, everyone, and as always, do me a solid and have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye now.